Hello guys and welcome to another Tokyo Revengers video. And in this video I will be talking about the character Senju Kawaragi from Tokyo Revengers. But before I start this video, let me tell you guys that this video is going to contain manga spoilers from Tokyo Revengers. So let's get into the video now. So Kawaragi Senju is the 5th division captain of the Tokyo Manji Gang 2nd generation. But before joining Toman, Senju was one of the 3 deities of Kanto, and she was also the president of Brahman Gang. Brahman is a delinquent gang, and the reason why Senju created Brahman is because she wanted to defeat Mikey and the Kanto Manji Gang. And Senju is the younger sister of Takeomi Akashi, who is the vice president of Brahman, and Sanzu Haruchiyo, who is the second in command of the Kanto Manji Gang, is also the older brother of Senju. So it looks like everybody in her family is a very famous delinquent. And Senju's real name is actually Akashi Senju. However, Senju Kawagari is her professional name, and she came up with this name with her older brother, Sanzu Haruchiyo. When she was a child, Senju was raised by a single father, however her father was never home, and so because of this, she would always be left at her grandmother's house with Sanzu and Takeomi. And since Takeomi was the oldest sibling, he was forced to play the role of the father at a very young age, and it was his job to look after his younger siblings. And Takeomi would always take his younger siblings to the amusement park, and this amusement park became Senju's favorite place to visit. However, we saw that Takeomi would always get mad at Sanzu, and Takeomi would blame Sanzu for Senju's mistakes. For example, during this backstory we saw that Takeomi blamed Sanzu when Senju used the wrong language, and even though Sanzu did nothing wrong, he still took the blame for the mistakes of his younger sister. However, despite the fact that Sanzu would always be blamed for Senju's mistakes, Sanzu was still always very nice to Senju, and he never held a grudge against her. And this treatment from Takeomi eventually resulted in Sanzu saying that he is never going to talk to Senju ever again, and this really affected Senju's relationship with her older brother. And during this backstory, we learned that Senju would always be with Sanzu, Mikey, and Baji, and she would always follow them around. And one day Senju was playing with Mikey's toy airplane, however after breaking this toy airplane she blamed it on Sanzu. And this all culminated in the moment where Mikey gave Sanzu the scars on his face. Senju witnessed this traumatic experience at a very young age, and ever since that day Senju thought that everything was all her fault. And ever since that day, Senju has been carrying this burden with her for a very long time, and Senju has been trying to find a way to take responsibility for creating this horrible incident. After blaming everything on herself, this led to Senju's driving motivation of trying to rectify her mistake, and after training for many years she eventually became powerful enough to create her own gang. But even after all these years, Senju still cares deeply for her older brother, and she never forgot about what happened on that day. And for all this time, Senju has been carrying the guilt of giving Sanzu the scars on his face, and she desperately wants to make things right with her beloved older brother. And ultimately this led to her motivations of joining the Tokyo Manji Gang 2nd generation, and this was because she wanted to save her older brother. And after Senju's backstory, we didn't see Senju for many years, and the next time we saw Senju was in the year 2006. And during this chapter we got to see the creation of Brahman Gang. And during this time Wakasa and Benkei owned their own fighting gym, and Senju defeated every single person at their gym, and this also means that Senju defeated Wakasa and Benkei. And Senju told Takeomi about her ambitions to defeat the invincible Mikey from the Tokyo Manji Gang, and Senju is determined to reach this goal. And Senju told Takeomi that for that reason, she wants to create her own gang. And then Senju appointed Takeomi as her vice president, and she appointed Wakasa and Benkei as the top executives. And Senju is actually the very first female gang leader that was introduced in Tokyo Revengers. Senju is a young woman of below average height, her height is 5 foot and 1 inch tall, and she has green eyes and light pink colored hair with notable eyelashes. And because of her messy and layered bobcut hairstyle, Senju is often mistaken for a boy, and when she took off her uniform Takemichi thought that she was a completely different person. Senju always wears the traditional Brahmin uniform, with the sleeves personally customized to a cherry blossom pattern instead of the normal black dragon design. And the reason why Senju wears the Brahmin uniform is because she feels very comfortable in it. But when she is not on gang duty, Senju wears a pristine white sailor top with a red necktie and a matching light blue skirt that ends right above her knees. She sometimes ties her hair in a well-kept bun, and this allows her bangs to freely flow down the sides of her face and forehead. However, after joining Toman, Senju just wears the traditional Toman uniform with a white sarashi cloth. As for her personality, Senju is a noble and honorable leader with a good moral compass. She was quick to take the initiative to recruit Takemichi to become a member of Brahman, and even after being threatened by Draken, she confidently maintained control of the situation, and in the end she succeeded with this recruitment. She leads Brahman gang through its wins and losses, and she aspires to conserve the gang as it is. And Senju said herself that she did not want Brahman gang to get bigger, because that would mean that undesirable people would join. And even though Brahman is one of the most infamous bands of delinquents, Senju still tries her best to stay away from all types of corruption. However, despite this, her ideals become greatly challenged as she leads her gang, and she occasionally encounters different opinions from her subordinates that counteract her moral beliefs, and this forces her to give in to an inferior and unresponsive mentality towards them. And Senju mostly puts on this facade when she is with her older brother, Takeomi Akashi. Takeomi is not only the vice president of Brahman gang, but he also serves as the advisor, and Senju decided to give him this position during the early formation of Brahman. And Takeomi was her voice of reason while she was the president of Brahman, and Senju had full trust in his judgment until she found out about his greedy desire for power. And this happened when Takeomi talked about using Senju's power and authority over the gang for evil and criminal acts. And so because of this, Senju decided to hide her true powers from her older brother, and Senju concealed her powers so that she wouldn't lead him down the wrong path. And this dynamic with Takeomi is the reason why Senju puts on an unresponsive facade while she is leading her gang. Senju is often overshadowed by her older brother, and in one instance we saw that her refusal to involve Brahman in a prostitution ring ended up in failure, and she was forced to follow Takeomi's orders. And in this moment we saw that she was forced to accept the business offer even after denouncing its corrupt and evil nature. However, eventually Takeomi realized his mistakes, and he sought her forgiveness, and this allowed Senju to rise against him and reveal her true power for the greater glory of her gang. And the very first time that she revealed her power was when she fought against South, and everyone was in shock when she unleashed her true powers on her opponent. And Senju is very ambitious, and her goal is to defeat Mikey in South, and she also wants to become the #1 delinquent in all of Japan. And Brahman gang is not a gang that was created with evil intentions, and Senju created this gang with the goal of defeating the Kantomanji gang. Senju firmly believes in shouldering the failures of her gang, and whenever the team is faced with any adversity she always takes responsibility. Senju always holds herself accountable, and she blames herself for every failure of Brahman gang. And this habit of blaming herself makes her believe that she is incompetent as a leader, however it also drives her to do better. Like when she fought against her nemesis Tyranno South in an attempt to bring Brahman to victory during the Battle of the Three Deities. And after knocking South down to the ground, Senju declared herself as the president of Brahman gang, and this moment served as a proclamation of her authority and power over her subordinates from the first-generation Black Dragons. Senju is very strong, and she is the leader of a big gang, but she is also a teenage girl. Outside of her gang life, Senju shows a more carefree side of herself, and she likes to go out and make friends. And when she is with Takemichi they always have fun together, and during the Three Deities arc we saw that they became very close friends. And according to Takemichi, Senju is really just an ordinary and cute teenage girl. She is very playful and childlike when she is with Takemichi, and she involves him in her shopping trips and trips to the amusement park. And Senju really enjoys going on the roller coaster at her favorite amusement park, and she also had a lot of fun while she was trying on new clothes with Takemichi. Ever since their first meeting, Senju took an interest in Takemichi, and during Senju's first appearance, we saw that she summoned Brahman gang so that she could protect Draken and Takemichi from the Rokuhara Tandai gang. Senju was quick to take the initiative to recruit Takemichi to become a member of Brahman, and even after being threatened by Draken, we saw that she still confidently maintained control of the situation, and we saw that she was even prepared to fight against Draken to achieve her goal. And after Senju recruited Takemichi to become a member of Brahman, we saw that she gave him the Brahman uniform while they were at the gang meeting, and Senju told him that this will be his new uniform starting today. The loyalty that Senju brings to a relationship is unrivaled, and throughout the story we have seen that she will do anything to keep her promises, and she will keep her promise even if it means that she has to sacrifice her own life. For example, in Takemichi's future vision, we saw that Senju actually sacrificed her own life in order to save Takemichi, and in this scene the author was showing us that she was even willing to sacrifice her own life to save Takemichi. And in this future vision Senju jumped in front of a bullet that was aimed at Takemichi, and while she was on her deathbed she told Takemichi that she kept her promise of protecting him. And after getting this future vision, Takemichi went to the amusement park with Senju, and when he arrived at the amusement park, he learned that this promise is actually the same promise that Senju wrote down on a piece of paper. And this future vision did an amazing job at showing us the selfless nature of Senju's personality, and it also showed us that she is a very brave and altruistic person. And when Senju made this promise to protect Takemichi, she had every intention of staying true to her word, and this future vision is proof of that. When she was the leader of Brahmin gang, Senju was in a major position of power, however she never let this power get to her head. And subsequently, being in this position allowed her to form many connections with the criminal underworld of Tokyo. And this means that Senju also makes a lot of money from these connections, and we saw that she had enough money to buy a high-tech security system for the hideout of Brahmin gang. And Takemichi became very impressed when he saw this security system, and he even said that it reminds him of a secret society. As the leader of one of the strongest gangs, Senju has command over an incredibly fearsome fighting force. In addition, she also has the founders of the Black Dragons in her gang who are extremely formidable in their own right. And according to Takomi, Wakasa and Benkei are the two toughest brawlers in all of Japan. And even though there is a major age difference between Senju and her subordinates, she still remains at the top of the ranks with the support of the first-generation Black Dragons. For example, Senju commands so much respect from her subordinates that when she entered the hideout of Brahmin gang, everyone started chanting her name in acknowledgement of her power. And when Senju raised her hand into the air, we saw that everyone immediately became silent, and they immediately stopped cheering. And in this scene we could even see that Takemichi was surprised by this display of leadership. And this moment is a testament to the respect that she garners from her subordinates. Apart from carrying the responsibility as the president of Brahmin, Senju is also the strongest fighter in the whole gang. She is a very clever and cunning individual who chooses to have her vice president lead her gang as a decoy, and this allows her to carry out sneak attacks when necessary. Senju is very confident in her fighting capabilities, and during fights she is always able to keep her composure. She has also been shown to be quite fearless, and even if there is a major size difference between her and her opponent, she still never backs down from a challenge. And Senju has been shown to have her own unique power, and she knows how to control her power. However, instead of raw power, her fighting style is based on pure skill and technique, and Senju worked very hard to get to this level of power. Senju is the strongest member of Brahmin gang, and she uses flying kicks as her main method of attack, and even though Senju is only 5 feet tall, she was still able to knock down Toronto South, and send South flying to the ground with only a single kick. And Senju also has very quick reflexes, and she was easily able to block the punch of South while attacking South with a flying kick at the same exact time. And Senju also has very impressive durability, and the reason why I say this is because she was able to remain standing after taking many punches from South while he was in his dark impulse mode. And even though Wakasa and Benkei were defeated by these same punches, Senju was able to take multiple of these punches and still remain standing. And her fighting style takes a lot of coordination, and this fighting style is what allows her to compete with the strongest characters in Tokyo Revengers. And these kicks that Senju is capable of seems to suggest that she has learned some kind of martial arts technique, and the reason why I say this is because her kicks are not based off brute strength, but they are based off some kind of technique. The power that Senju possesses is strong enough to fight back against the dark impulses, and this is something that only a few people in the story are capable of. And Brahmin gang was eventually disbanded after the Battle of the Three Deities, and this happened after Senju surrendered to Mikey. And Senju made this decision in order to save Takemichi from Mikey. And right when Mikey was about to kill Takemichi, we saw that Senju saved his life by bowing down to Mikey, and Senju told Mikey that she would disband her gang. And after Brahmin was disbanded, Senju decided to become a member of the Tokyo Manji gang second generation. And Senju became the 5th division captain of the Tokyo Manji Gang's second generation, and this gang was created by Takemichi. And Senju prefers to keep her uniform unbuttoned, and she wears her hair in a ponytail, with her bangs running down her forehead. Senju is the only female member of this gang, and while she is a member of this gang, Senju is always seen wearing the traditional gang uniform, and underneath the uniform she wears a white sarashi cloth. And the reason why Senju joined the Tokyo Manji Gang is because she wanted to defeat the Kanto Manji Gang, and she also wanted to save her older brother. And during the final battle, we saw that Senju was so powerful that she was able to defeat over 50 members of the Kanto Manji Gang, and she defeated these 50 delinquents all by herself. And the fact that she was able to defeat over 50 delinquents is a testament to her strength as a fighter. And during the final battle, we saw that Senju tried to apologize to Sanzu. However, Sanzu took advantage of this by hitting Senju in the head with a metal pipe. And after being hit in the head, Senju got knocked out, and her body fell down to the floor. However, sometime later, we saw that Senju was still able to get back up, and after getting back up she was still able to remain standing. However, after Takemichi traveled back to the past, we saw that a new timeline was created, and Senju would reappear in this timeline. And in the final timeline of Tokyo Revengers, we saw that Senju became the 5th division vice captain of the Tokyo Manji Gang, and her older brother, Sanzu Haruchiyo, is the captain of the 5th division. However, after Toman was disbanded, Senju became a very famous YouTuber, and Sanzu and Senju are both working together as the stars of this YouTube channel. And in this timeline, Sanzu and Senju are a dynamic sibling duo, and they have both become very famous and successful. And Takomi is the producer of their YouTube channel, and it looks like Takomi is currently managing these two superstars. In this timeline, Senju is living a very happy and carefree life with her family, and in the final chapter we saw that she was attending Takemichi's wedding. And at the wedding celebration we saw that Senju started cheering for the newly wedded couple, and in this moment she looked like she was very happy. And while Takemichi and Hinata were walking down the aisle, we saw that Senju was standing on top of the stairwell, and in this final panel we see that she is happily celebrating by throwing her hands up into the air. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the character Senju. And if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, then like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.